Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaM Sports Varsity. I'm your host, Frank Langella, joined by my co-host, Marcilio Langella. And Mars, this is another Frank's Finest, this time for Class C and D. And we want to welcome everyone to the show. And this is where we, if you don't know, we reveal the top football players coming into this March season from the C and D class. And I just have to make a general statement about C and D. And I know as we get to the smaller and smaller schools, people tend to not think, or I don't know what the perception is, that you can't find good football players, but you absolutely can, Mars. And I'll just give you a few reasons why. Number one, these are kids who you know play multiple sports. Because the schools are smaller, these are kids that are playing basketball, football, lacrosse, track. They're the ones playing all the sports. So you know you're going to get a multi-sport athlete when you look at these kids. You're also going to get a kid who plays every spot of the field. Right, so they're playing offense, they're playing defense, they're playing special teams. Sometimes when you get to the bigger schools, they might not play on special teams.
Exactly.
Right, but these kids, they have to. It's a necessity. So you get a kid who could give you something either on offense, defense, or special teams. And not everyone's got to be a Division I football player. Just playing college football is a great accomplishment.
Yep.
And you can find some diamonds in the rough. And I think in C and D for Section 1, there are some good football players in this class.
No, you said exactly. I mean, the fact is, it's smaller schools. It means kids have to play more positions, be on the field longer than probably most other schools around. Like, you know, comparing, and you're going to see kids play two-way athletes, right? In A, double A, B.
Yes.
But you'll see a lot more of that in C and D because of the fact the schools are just so much smaller that if they don't, I mean, that
You can't field the team.
Yeah, you can't field the
They got
team.
to play everything. They can't leave the field.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of athleticism, and you're going to hear us talk about athleticism and versatility all day long, just because of the fact that, like you said, these kids have a lot of talent, right? And you mentioned the diamond in the rough, and there's quite a few of them here.
Absolutely. And before we dive into those kids, again, all the breakdowns from our show, and I didn't mention this on the other broad, you can see all our complete breakdowns on the kids that we talk about on the show on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So definitely give us a subscribe, like our videos, share them, and we appreciate the support that we've gotten. But Mars, let's dive into it. First, we'll start off with the quarterback position. And similar to what I talked about in Class A, this C and D class has a lot of returning faces. I think there's only two teams that are returning a new quarterback, and that's, I think, Tuckahoe and Woodlands. Both graduated a quarterback, but you're going to see a lot of familiar faces, and there is a bunch of talent in this quarterback spot. Different kind of quarterbacks, but guys that are focal points for their team. And this is another group that I want to recognize the contenders before I pick the winner, Mars. And I want to start with Michael Dawson of Valhalla. Again, this kid is a gunslinger, okay? He's going to take some chances, but he makes some serious wow plays. The ball just shoots out of his hands. Really like this kid. Henry Donohue from Bronxville. Okay, this is a kid who plays quarterback and linebacker. You don't see that very often, but on the smaller schools, you're going to see this kid play two of the most important positions. I really like this kid. Dual threat kid. You know, I saw him make some really nice throws in the pocket and on the run, but his bread and butter is running the football. He's an extra running back there, and I'm just going to give you a little hint. This is not going to be the last time we hear about this young man. He's really an extra running back. He wears that number 24. Another kid I really, really like, Evan Falco of Rhinebeck, Mars, the senior. 6'3", 205 pounds. He's actually going to East Coast Prep. This kid's a really talented kid, smooth quarterback, really quick release, great mobility. He makes some serious wow throws, especially maneuvering in the pocket, throwing outside the numbers. The thing I really love about him is his accuracy on intermediate throws, Mars. That 10 to 20-yard range in between the numbers, outside of the numbers. You know, I really like him. You could definitely see why this kid is a college football prospect. Another kid at the D school, Daniel Santos of Haldane, Mars. Honorable mention, all Poughkeepsie Journal. This kid at 6'1", 185 pounds. Dual threat guy. He was a man amongst boys in the D League last year. I mean, this kid made plays with his arm, made plays with his legs, and when he runs, this kid is another fullback. He's real thick, lower half thickness, and he was such a big part of their offense, and I can't imagine that changes at all this upcoming season. Finally, to round it off at Dobbs Ferry, right? Harry Dan. And, you know, when I spoke to Coach about him, he talks about how he's a fantastic leader, never hangs his head, multi-sport athlete, and a blue-collar kid. This kid came to the varsity level as a lineman, right? He was a lineman when he came to the varsity, and Coach is like a lineman's dream, Mars, right? Coach comes to him and said, "Can you play quarterback for us?" And boy, did he succeed last year. Really good runner of the football. He hits the hole hard. He's got good speed. he's as tough. He's tough as nails. That's whatever I get out of it. He doesn't seem big, but he runs big. And once he gets to that open field, he's got that 4.6 speed, and he can really take off. So that's another kid that was in contention, and picking a winner from this group is really difficult. But something that separated from the crowd and something that made this kid the winner was his ability to lead his team to a championship. And that's why I'm going to go with Michael Dawson of Valhalla. And this kid is a junior. He was second team All-State at 5'11", 170 pounds. I mentioned, at Valhalla, this kid, he's been on the varsity now multiple years. I mentioned that he's a gunslinger, so he will take chances, but he gives his wide receivers a chance. Okay, he gives them those 50-50 opportunity. The ball just pops right out of his hand. Good arm strength. His ability to make intermediate throws in between the numbers and outside the numbers is what I really like about him. He also does it with anticipation. So he throws people open, which is an underrated trait, and you got to be able to do that if you want to play at the next level. You have to be able to throw receivers open. So if you think they're covered, but if you throw them open, that's a special type of quarterback, and this kid has that. And some of the other kid prospects have that too, but Michael Dawson shows that consistently. And I know he's not a tall guy, but he does have good mobility. He can hurt you with the legs. He's not really a runner, but he can maneuver in the pocket. He can run the football. And so this kid, kind of is the full package, Mars. And that's why what separates him from some of the other really good prospects that I mentioned is the fact that he is the pilot to that airplane. Okay,
Yep.
They have a lot of weapons on that team, but he is the pilot. He has to maneuver that plane. He has to maneuver the ship, and he did so, and they won a championship with him at the helm, and he is a huge part of that offense.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. The fact is, I'll first talk about the stats. 2,200 yards, 2,280 yards, 22 touchdowns is a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Second team all-state. But the thing that impressed me most was his absolute cannon, right? And the mix between having both accuracy and power is a very rare thing to find. I was impressed with his intermediate throws, and you kind of mentioned the fact that he throws people open is really impressive. I think the fact that you can throw anywhere on the field accurately is such a deadly thing to find in any class, let alone in Class C. But I think the biggest thing I like about him is that not only does he take chances, but when you need a big play, he will get you that big play. And I think I overuse the it player type of mentality, but when you look at a team, you try to find who's going to be the guy that gets you that first down when it's 3rd and 15. Who's going to be that guy that gets you that touchdown when you need a score to either tie the game or take the lead. He's going to be the guy that finds the way to do so. And he takes chances, but the gunslingers, it's that bang or bust, and most of the time for him, he's getting that jackpot, and that's what I like about him, that he just has all those traits, and he's still a younger player.
And I'm really excited to see these quarterbacks go at each other. I mean, Evan Falco versus Michael Dawson, Valhalla versus Rhineck. I don't know what the schedules are going to be, but those are two of my favorite. And then you got Henry Donohue, you got Daniel Santos. I don't know if C's going to be playing D teams. We're going to see what happens with the schedule, but just to see Harry Dan versus Henry Donohue and stuff like that. The quarterback matchups, I'm really excited for this upcoming season. It's going to be really exciting. But Mars, let's, before we move to the next group, I did do a breakdown on Michael, and I want the audience to see why I think Michael is a special football player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 12, Michael Dawson of Valhalla High School, located right here, quarterback. This kid's impressive. He's going into his 3rd year as a starter on the varsity level, and this kid has some life to his arm. He's not an overly big guy at 5'11", but there's some serious pop, and it really helps him on intermediate throws. The ball's not fluttering. It really goes on a rope, and it's because of his arm strength. He also has good mobility. He can move around a little bit. But I'm going to show you some of the impressive arm strength throws that he has. Helps him on deep throws, but the ones that really impress me are his intermediate throws. And let's go over a few plays. I mentioned where he's located on the screen right here. And what the offense is going to run is they're going to have a stop on the outside, and they're going to have a flag pattern. Okay, the defense is in a cover too. So the corner is going to stop short on the stop. The safety's got he's got the deep half of the field. Now the throw in a cover 2 scheme, when you're going to flood the zone, you're going to have a short and a long pattern, is right here on the outside of the numbers. Okay, the hole between the corner and the safety. If you underthrow it, it's going to cause, it could be knocked away, intercepted. If you overthrow it, obviously the safety can make a play. This is on the left hash mark, just so you keep in mind. This is the arm strength. Okay, there it is. There's the hole right there. Watch this throw. Boom. Look at that. Beautiful. One more time. There's the hole right there. This is, again, from the left hash. Good base right there. Look at the placement. Now you need some arm strength for that. Let's go to another play. All right. Again, located right here. Trips left. But the offense is going to run, okay? We're going to look at this third receiver. Okay, he's coming over the middle. All right, he's going to try to thread the needle between the deep safety and these linebackers are going to drop into zone coverage. Okay, again, watch the placement. This is a 20-yard throw. Intermediate throw. You got to have some life to it. Watch the touch. Watch the zip. Boom. Look at that. Again. The hole's right in the middle of the field. You got to throw it over the linebacker. It's got to have some life to it or the safety will get there. Look at this. Boom. Beautiful. All right, Mars. Let's go to the next group. We're going to the skill guys, okay? And, again, a lot of talent in this area. Let's just start off at the running back spot. First one, Haldane, Darren Santos. This kid was honorable mention All-State. When I spoke to Coach about a multi-sport kid, plays football, basketball, lacrosse, another blue-collar kid, and he is a powerful downhill running back. He shows some really nice balance and the ability to run through contact. And although he's got some real thickness to him, I love that they can actually, flex him out. He can run patterns. He can catch the football. He made some big plays in the passing game when you watch tape. So I really like the versatility about him. Coming up next, Mars, Connor Randall of Bronxville. And, when I spoke to Coach about this young man, great person. He's really smart. He's got a great work ethic. And he's somebody that people can follow. And this kid committed to Millbury to play not just football, but lacrosse. So a two-sport athlete in college is really impressive. And for my take on him, he's really explosive. I mean, he hits that fifth, sixth gear in a hurry, okay? He kind of plays that wing back. He gets sweeps, he gets counters and stuff like that. This kid is slippery in the hole. And, boy, when he gets in the open field, it's see you later. I mean, this kid has that speed. You saw it at the Armory Combine. An impressive kid. Going to the wide receiver spot, Mars, Mahari Davis of Valhalla. This kid, just explosive. He's at 6'1", 170 pounds, so he can put on some muscle. But let me just tell you, 6'1", good height, explosive guy with the ball in his hands. You just want to get the ball in his hands with space. He could beat you deep with his speed. He could beat you with solid route running, catch the ball short, make you miss, and he'll see you later too. I mean, this kid made so many plays for Valhalla. He is a serious weapon. And coming up to the next one, Mars, is his teammate, Rashawn Melvin of Valhalla. This kid, 6'4", 190 pounds. This kid is well-built, physical wide receiver. Big target with a large catch radius and good body control. And my favorite part about him is he knows how to win those 50-50 balls, more those contested catches, which you got to be able to do to be a number one receiver. He's just a physical guy. I also like his ability to block. And finally, to round it off, Mars, Michael Myers, the running back from Tuckahoe, the junior. He was honorable mention All-State. This kid, when I spoke to Coach, junior captain, which says a lot about the kid. It's hard to be an underclassman and be a captain, and he does that. And he wants to run you over. He's a real hard worker. When I watch him, strong runner, difficult to bring down with just one guy. He has a nice, powerful, stiff arm, too. He's got that move that, he can make a play. And he does show his shiftiness in open field. So it's not just power. Right? He could beat you by being shifty. I also like his ability to run patterns. This kid is another weapon in the passing game. So this is a three-down back. And, those are the most impressive guys to me is he's not just runs the football, got stone hands. He can help you in the passing game. He can help you in the running game. He can beat you multiple ways. And, who do you want to talk about out of that list I just gave you, Mars?
There's three guys I'm going to talk about. First one, Connor Randall. I really like his elusiveness. And when you look at his stat sheet, 330 yards, rushing with 4 TDs, 4 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Shows you that he can do it all. I mean, I think he's a great runner. As I mentioned already, he's very elusive. He finds a way to always get away from the wimpy tackler, and I think his burst is just out of this world. I mean, he goes 0 to 100 real quick. If you any song fans out there, but he has just such a potential with speed that I think you mentioned this already that he makes one guy miss and he could be gone. And I just like that about him as being a elusive runner and very, very well done. Mahari Davis is another one. very similar to Randall, an explosive runner, but he is a big play machine. Yeah. I think he can take a play that's a wide receiver screen, take it to the house, or just run past everyone in a deep route and then still score. And he has 8 touchdowns this season. Last season, he just screams at you versatility and athleticism. I mean, I watched him wide receiver, running back, slot. He line him up wherever you want, and he's going to make a play for you. And then lastly, like you mentioned about the good route running when it comes to Mahari, he's just been very consistent with catches and his route running ability. But last but not least, Michael Myers is a tank, right? Yeah. He's just an animal. And you kind of mentioned this already, but he's a strong runner. Rarely goes down by one tackler. Right? He has his breakaway speed, but he also has this shiftiness that he can kind of make a play out of nothing. But he is a mix of everything. I think he's a very well-balanced player. Seeing him in both in run and also in the passing game is very impressive at a high school level. Yeah. And, looking at his stat sheet here, 625 yards, 11 touchdowns on the ground, 11 receptions, 116 yards in the receiving end. And he's just an animal, right?
Yep.
Well-rounded football player.
Yep. And sticking with Michael Myers, I did do a breakdown on him last year, and we'll let the audience see why I think Michael is a good football player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 21, Michael Myers of Tuckahoe High School, located right here on the screen. He plays running back and outside linebackers / strong safety for Tuckahoe. This kid just completed his sophomore campaign. Very talented football player. He was honorable mention All-State for New York last year. And what I really like is his versatility. I've seen him line up in the backfield and in the slot. He can run patterns. He can catch the football. You see him in screens. You see him run routes. And when he runs the football, he's very good on zone plays and outside runs, which you'll see. He does it from the backfield and from the slot position. It's because he's got really good burst. He puts his foot into the ground, and he can get north and south very quickly. He also has good side-to-side movement. Once he's in the backfield, he's really good. I mentioned on the zone runs. It's because he has quick feet. He can change direction quickly, and you'll see that on a couple plays that we go over. I mentioned he's located right here on the screen. Okay. What they're going to do is they're going to run a run right up the gut. The tackle's kind of going to get pushed into his lap. You're going to see him have a quick juke towards the outside, and then you're going to see the speed to close for a touchdown. Okay. Watch him come up. You see the tackle go right into his gut. Look at the speed to get to the outside, and then look at the sudden quickness. Right. He stops on a dime, has a defender roll right by him, and he scores. Okay. You see this often. Okay, he's got the speed and the sudden quickness to make people miss. He also runs really hard. Look at the speed, and again, the quickness. Again, good agility, good athlete. Let's go to another play. I mentioned his versatility. Okay, he can catch the football out of the backfield. He's going to be located right here. They're going to shift to an empty set. All right? So they're going to shift to an empty set. They're going to motion him. He's going to try to go to the flat, but there's going to be nothing there. He sees the quarterback's in trouble. He's going to turn upfield to get open. It's actually well defended in the beginning. But again, watch the awareness. He's a smart football player. Okay, you're going to see the athleticism. He's a good athlete. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Now you see this on his tape as well. Look at the one-hander. That's beautiful. Again, I think this kid is just scratching the surface. Let's go over that play again. Again, good football awareness. Smart decision to turn upfield. Quarterback's in trouble. But the athleticism, okay? The versatility that I mentioned. Okay, he's a 3-down back. That's a one-hand grab. All right, Mars, now going to the lineman. And, let's just start it right off. I'm going with Rob Cipher of Tuckahoe. This kid at 6 foot, 205 pounds. When I spoke to Coach about him, strong leader again. He leads by example. The young guys follow him, which says a lot about you when the young guys follow you. And my take on him as an offensive lineman, this kid's a versatile lineman. He can line up at guard or center. I believe he's moving to full-time center this year. He moves his feet well, and when he locks in, he wants to knock you on your butt. I mean, this kid, he loves to tee off on linebackers and DBs. You can tell that he really enjoys it. He'll knock you off in a pile, so those who want to pile up, be wary because this kid's coming for you. But this kid brings power with him, and he moves his feet well and just a versatile kid. Going to the next one, Mars, TJ Curran of Bronxville. This kid at 6'1" when I spoke to Coach. He's the leader of the offensive line. He does everything they ask of him. This kid, thick lower and upper half. This kid's just a wide kid. And he has strength when he drives people with his lower half. You can tell he moves bodies, he moves the line of scrimmage. He also can trap, right? So he has good enough feet that he can do short pulls. He could trap people either at the A-gap or down the line. So he's got some nimbleness to him based on his size. He also has some nastiness and grit to him, which I like. Moving on, Mars, Jack Sullivan from Valhalla. This kid's not a very tall kid, but he is the anchor to the offensive line, and Valhalla lost a bunch of linemen, and this kid is going to be the anchor for that group coming back. It's going to be a really important unit, especially with those weapons around him. But this kid plays well. I mean, he wins with athleticism and toughness. This kid plays linebacker, so you know he's got some toughness to him, and he brings that to the offensive line. He's not very overpowering, but he gets the job done consistently, and that's all that matters to me. He doesn't have to be the flashiest thing. As long as you get the job done, right? Can you seal off the defender? Can you move him? You know, can you finish your block? And this kid does that. Another kid impressed me, Nicholas Santucci of Tuckahoe, the junior. This kid, Mars, when I spoke to him, quiet, coach about him, quiet, lead by example kid, high football IQ and high motor, and that definitely shows up on tape. I mean, this kid, thick lower body. He's really like a tree stump. He's not that tall, right, being about like 5'10", 5'11", but he is a tree stump. He's got a thick lower body, moves people on down blocks, does a good job finishing blocks. Hey, this is a kid that'll just lay on you once you're on the ground, you know, rub some dirt on you. But for a big guy, he's nimble. I mean, he's got a good start, so he can seal off defenders on the edge because of his feet. And I really like that about him. Finally, to round it off, Mars, Joey Pulcino, the junior from Rhinebeck. This kid's 6'2", 210 pounds, athletic guard, and then he can punish you on trap blocks. He really throws his whole body. He comes at you like a missile. But he shows the strength that he can move people. Okay, so if it has to be a dry block, he shows the strength. He's got long arms. He can extend his arms. Again, he can put on a little bit of weight too, but I like his frame. And, I really like his ability to move. I like his ability to pull. I like his ability to trap. This kid is a real solid guard. And that's kind of the list I have rounded off. Mars, who do you want to discuss?
Well, there's two guys I want to discuss here. First one is Rob Cipher, guard/center, depending on where they move him this year. But as a lineman, I really like his lower body strength, and he is a guy that's just going to continually drive you. Right, once he gets locked on, he's really just looking to put you in the dirt, and which I really like to see with any lineman I coach. And I think even on the other side, when you're trying to see him pull, he delivers a shot that always seems to always get people to be shocked. Right, you know, that's one thing I always look at as an offensive line coach is, can he deliver a shot and he can continue driving the man, and he always does so, and his aggressiveness really shows in all facets of his play, and I really think that that's going to help him this season. But you know, I'm really just impressed to see that he can technically play on any spot on this offensive line, in my opinion. I mean, I think the interior would be best for him, but I can see him play anywhere because of his versatility, and I think the most impressive thing about him is his leadership qualities, right? And I think being a leader on the offensive line, it's not easy. You know, people say, you know, everyone on the team should be a leader, and that's true. But it's hard to always find the guy that people look to be the example for the entire offensive line and even for the team itself. And he really has all the qualities of being a Frank's finest for me. And then lastly, Nicholas Santucci. I really love the way this guy plays. I mean, he's aggressive and he's in your face. I think that's like if you're going to summarize somebody, that's it. He's in your face. And you kind of mentioned that. I think you said he was a shy type of guy. But he's aggressive, right? And he plays with that angry mentality based on what I see. And the funny thing is I watched tape of him, and I just see countless times where he's just pancaking dudes. Yep. Like he's just straight up throwing them to the ground and just laying on them. Right? Yep. And I think I saw like 8 or 9 pancakes and all the different tapes I've watched. And he just has the thing that I like the most is that he has really good feet and he has good hand placement. And once he gets his hands on you, it's like getting put in a vice grip. Like you're not going to get off of this man. And he's really just going to try to keep driving you back until you just can't take it anymore and you just fall over. So I really like those two guys.
Yep. Now moving to the defensive side, Mars, the defensive front 7. And, let's just start in Bronxville, George McCormick. This kid, 5'9", 225 pounds, right? Not a very tall guy. But when I spoke to coach about him, this kid runs track. He's a really fast lineman, and the tape proves that to be correct. Again, not tall, but he has a big base, Mars, and he explodes out of his stance. He really beats people right off the get-go with his explosiveness. He gets a lot of penetration using his speed. But I will say this. When the speed doesn't work, he does show the strength in his base that he doesn't get moved. right? So he has the versatility where he can anchor down when people just try to run right at him and, try to counter his speed. So this kid's a really impressive kid, Mars. Do you want to talk about George at all before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, he has a very good base, like you mentioned, and I think that he has a few different facets to his game. I really like the way that he can move, even when his speed doesn't help him. He has the strength to kind of make up for that, and it's hard to find in any average lineman, but that's why he's not average. He's a Frank's finest,
Yep. And I did a breakdown on George, and I'm going to let the audience see why I think George is a special football player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 55, George McCormick, defensive tackle and guard for Bronxville High School, located right here on the screen. And this kid, not an overly tall kid at 5'10", but I tell you, what he makes up in height, he brings an explosiveness. He's got one of the best first steps, explosive first steps that I've seen watching all the defensive players going into next year. He plays over the guard. He's usually in the 3 technique. And this kid is, he uses his quick feet, his quick burst to really blow by offensive linemen. A lot of offensive linemen struggle to keep up with his speed. And this kid really does well in certain techniques. Drive technique is what I like to call it, where he's shooting gaps. He's trying to penetrate into the backfield. He really causes disruption both in the run game and the pass game. And we're going to go over a few plays. He's also shown the strength that he doesn't get moved off too easily, even though not being a very big kid. But we're going to go over a few plays on defensive end. I mentioned where he's located. And what he's going to do is he's going to show that speed that I mentioned, okay? They're going to try to down block him. Okay, they're going to fake a run to the right. Quarterback's going to try to play action to his left, okay? And he's going to really blow up this play with using his speed. Watch him blow by this block right here. Look at him explode right here. He's pretty much attacking the mesh, okay? Quarterback just turned around. He's going to create some serious problems and force the sack. Okay, look at him blow that up, and the quarterback trips because he tried to rush out of there. That's a sack right there. That's all because of his explosiveness. All right, one more time. Again, watch him. Look at him shoot out his stance. Look at him. He's pretty much at the mesh point right when the quarterback turns around. That's a lot of speed right there and just blows this play up. Let's go to another play. Here he's located again. Again, really good at penetrating through gaps. Okay, what they're going to try to do is they're going to run away from him. All right? The tackle, big tackle, and this kid's actually an impressive football player as well. He's going to try to cut him off. Watch him use his speed. Watch him rip his arm through. Look at him explode through. Look at him. He's already on the opposite end of the line of scrimmage. Explode by that tackle, and he's going to finish the play. It's a good job. Again, not an overly big kid, but I tell you, he's explosive. All right, Mars continuing now, sticking with the defensive line from Dobbs Ferry, Jose Regalado, the junior, 6 foot 260. I mean, when I spoke to Coach about him, this kid's very enthusiastic, has a huge smile, big hugs, but he grinds on the football field. And my take on him when I watch him, I really like his motor. He has good feet for a big man, being 260 pounds. He beats linemen off the ball, and he not just wins with his start, he wins with his hands. Okay, and that's what's important, especially for a young lineman. He was a sophomore last year. To use your hands to disengage blockers is big. A lot of people try to just battering ram or, try to just, mess around with linemen. Use your hands, get off them, and this kid does that for a young guy. He's also hard to move. I mean, like I mentioned, being 6 foot 260, now you're not that tall, right? So it's hard to get underneath his pads being that size. This kid is another kid who can anchor down at the point of attack. Which I like. Moving on now to Tuckahoe, Andrew Reichelt, the junior. This kid, 6'2", 180 pounds. Coach says he's got great motor, always asks questions, and he really does have a good motor when you watch him on tape. Really good length, long arms that keep offensive players out of his body, which is good. He also has really solid lateral quickness to stop outside runs. He's raw pass rushing wise, Mars. He can definitely work on moves. He can work on, the way he attacks as a pass rusher. But the way he wins right now is with his motor. Like, he beats linemen just by sheer desire and by speed and by his length getting to the quarterback. And, he was very disruptive, and he deserves to be one of Frank's finest. Moving now to the linebackers, Mars. I have to talk about Rashawn Melvin again of Valhalla. He was third team All-State as an outside linebacker. I mentioned before, he's 6'4", 190 pounds. Great length and athleticism. I mean, he can rush the passer. He's got the athleticism to drop into coverage. He can also play some man in that coverage. This kid was a menace on the edge for them. And he's going to be a real problem for teams this year. And this kid definitely has a good mixture of pass rushing ability, stopping the run, and the athleticism to get into zone. So I really like him. Another linebacker, Mars, Rob Seifer from Tuckahoe. This kid, we talked about his size before. He's a thumper. I mean, this kid, he knows how to square you up. And I like his ability to blitz. He shows good anticipation. He's savvy. Savvy when he's blitzing, but the real perk of this kid is wants to knock your lights out at the linebacker spot. Another linebacker, Mars, Isaiah Hargett of Woodlands. And this kid at 6'1", 160 pounds, thin guy, solid height. You can definitely put on some muscle. When I spoke to coach, this kid's a great kid. He'll run through a wall for you. And he really works on his academics, which is always important for a football player. You got to get the grades up, folks.
Yep.
This kid works hard at it. My take when I watch him, coach said about running through a wall. This kid absolutely does. He's fearless. And I think he's a really solid open field tackler. If you want to see, what I'm talking about when I say the word fearless, pop in the Woodlands versus Rye Country Day. They had a running back, again, in 2019, go to Northwestern, Division I football. This kid made a couple big-time plays on him, practically solo tackled him multiple times, and you see that. This kid, he's an aggressive kid. He's raw, but he has the speed. He can blitz off the edge. He has the speed and length that he won't, let runs get to the outside of him. I really like this kid. I think he's an underrated football player. Finally, to round it off, can't have a linebacker group without this kid, and that's Henry Donohue of Bronxville, Mars. 4th-team All-State. This kid's one of the best players in the section, in my opinion. Coach says he has a passion to everything he does. And when I look at him at the linebacker spot, I'm not sure what there is not to like about his game. He reads offenses well, and he attacks the line of scrimmage with very few wasted steps and good angles. He can also, he has the athleticism to play man, drop into coverage, and he's a real solid finisher. There are some things that can be tweaked. Sometimes he lunges at guys' legs. It sometimes gets the job done, but when backs get bigger, more athletic, lunging at someone is not going to knock him down, right? So there are things to work on, but overall, his full body picture, really like this kid at the linebacker spot. I think he's one of the best linebackers in this section, not just for C and D, Mars. All the names I gave into, what do you want to go down?
There's 3 guys I want to focus in on. First off, Rasheed Melvin, outside linebacker of Valhalla. He's an all-state player. I really like his athleticism, and you kind of mentioned this already, but his length is what gives him the advantage, and that's a really good thing to have as an outside linebacker, especially when you're on the edge and you're going for the pass rush. He has a very good pass rush ability, especially with his speed on the edge. But he also has good hands to get him kind of on the edge and kind of be able to rip off to kind of on the pass rush. But he also has the ability to do pass coverage, which is a very good thing to have. A very consistent outside linebacker, whether you're going for the pass rush or not. Second one's going to be Rob Seifer, inside linebacker. You kind of mentioned it. He is a stereotypical thumper of an inside linebacker. I think he knows how to lay a hit on anyone he meets in the hole. And his sideline to sideline speed is very good. I mean, I think he can meet people at the sideline or just meet them at the line of scrimmage. And either way, he's going to give you a licking. I think he is that player that can size up anybody in this league, which is a very difficult thing because you have a lot of good running backs, you have a lot of good runners in general, not just running backs, but a lot of good athletes, and he can size them up. When he comes on a blitz, it's a scary thing to see because he's extremely dangerous and always makes a play. But like you mentioned, you can't mention linebackers or front 7 without Henry Donohue. I mean, you can go through all the accolades. Just looking at his page, you can say, all right, he was a Section 1 linebacker of the year. He was an all-state, all-section, all-conference, captain as a junior, and a Frank's Finest you can add to that list because he has it all, right? I mean, when you look at being possibly one of the best balanced players in Section 1, like all-around players in Section 1, he has the speed to make plays anywhere on the field. He has the strength to meet any runner that he comes across. He has the technique and awareness to really make plays anywhere on the field. He can read offenses. I really like his play, and I really don't see a lot of weaknesses to it. And I think that he is just such an impressive player all around. I'm looking forward to seeing him play this year.
Yeah, and, I did an interview with Henry, and I want the audience to see the kind of person and player that Henry is. Joining us now, he is quarterback and running back linebacker for Bronxville High School. He was 4th-team All-State in 2019. I want to welcome Henry Donohue to the show. How's it going, Henry?
Hi, Frank. How are you doing? I'm doing well.
That's great to hear. And, we really appreciate you coming on. And COVID, kind of put a wrench into the football situation. We should have had football in the fall, but COVID pushed it to the spring. And thank goodness we're having a season where at least all signs are pointing to that.
Mhm.
And I just want to ask, what does football mean to you? Why do you play football?
I mean, I play football because I think it's a great opportunity to um, really make some bonds that are probably going to last a lifetime. I know my friends and I are all really passionate about the game, and it's an opportunity for us to play together and work towards a common goal. And it's, of
Mhm.
course, it's the greatest sport on earth.
I like that. I like that a lot. Is there anybody at home or figure, anybody that inspires you to be the type of player and the type of person you are today?
Um, I would say that my mom's a big supporter of me. That's someone who I always am playing for, and because she's done so much to make sure that I can play football. And my dad too, um, to put me in a position where I am now. So I really play for them, and make them proud.
That's great. No, that's great. Parents are always, they're always for you, whether it's a great game
Mhm.
or a bad game, and it's always important to give a shout out to them.
Of course.
There is no perfect player. I really like you as a football player on both sides of the ball, but there is no perfect player. And I'm just curious to know, what did you work on in the off season to improve as not just a football player, but as a leader for your program?
Mhm. One thing that I've worked on is, I feel like I've always led by example well, but I've tried to become more vocal this off season, especially just or sending a text out to the team because morale could kind of be low at some points. We've
Yeah,
gone through a lot this off season, so just trying to be more of a vocal leader and just not lead by example.
no, that's great. And it's always good. And, leaders are an important aspect of a football team, and coach raves about you as a leader. Now, on the football field, is there anything you focused on in the offseason to improve as a football player, either side of the ball?
Defensively, I've really worked on backpedaling and moving in different planes to become comfortable for not only high school but for the next level where I'll maybe have different responsibilities than just being a run stopper, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I did last season.
Mm-hmm. And have you set any team goals, personal goals for yourself, for your team, being one of the leaders of the program? Have you set any goals that you could share with us?
As a team, we believe that we would have done really well in the fall and however far we may have went, but we have maybe 5 or 6 games this spring. And our goal is to win them all.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to overlook any opponent, but we look to win every game and win it decisively.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Any personal goals, personally?
Not really, as long as the team is doing well and
Yeah,
we get to where we want to be, then I'm happy.
that's great. I not only wanted to talk to you about football, but I want to talk about your aspirations outside of football. What is a passion of yours? What is something that you like to do outside of the football field? Is there a couple things you could share with us?
Something that I like to do, it's probably my favorite group outside of football, is the B Sharps. It's a little a cappella group that
Oh
we
yeah.
have. It's all male and it's 10 members. And I'd say at least 5 of them are on the football team. So it's a fun little group and we meet once a week. So
Wow,
it's a good
that
time.
is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Look at that talents. There's talents outside the football field. That's great. Um, is there what are you looking to study at the next level? Have you decided that yet?
Um, I'm not absolutely set on something, but I'd like to maybe do biology or something on the science side and
Yeah,
see where that takes me.
that's cool. Cool. You're talking to a chem major and biology minor, so that's good stuff right there.
Awesome.
Also got my MBA. So listen, football is very important. Football, I love football. Big football family. But there is a second life, right? So you always got to think about what you want to do outside of the football field. So that's good. Um, football. Whenever I evaluate a football player, people always like to throw stats at me and the analytics and stuff like that, and that's all very important. But the most important thing when evaluating a player is the eye in the sky, right? And I know coaches probably tell you the eye in the sky tells all, and that's the film. So I wanted to bring out some tape that me and you can go over
Awesome.
about you playing some football, and let's have a little good time about it. Can you say I'm a defensive guy and I like talking about you as a linebacker even more so than quarterback, but you did play quarterback
Yes.
last year and you were a dual threat guy, but you rock number 24. It's a very unusual quarterback number. What made you
Mhm.
select 24?
I selected 24 because that was the number I wore sophomore year,
Hmm.
and I really didn't see any reason to change it. My letterman had the number, and I just wanted to stick with it, and I'll stick with it this year too.
That's cool. No, I like it because it kind of reminds me that, man, you run like a running back when you take off. And this play right here, do you remember it against Albertus Magnus last year?
Definitely do, yes.
Right? I mean, you're going to take a quarterback power right here, okay, at your own goal line.
Hmm.
And this looks like, oh, it's a nice little game. But look at this. I mean, you broke the whole defense's tackle and then the speed at the end to go, what was it, 99 yards?
About.
Right? 99 yards. Can you tell me what you were reading on this play? Do you remember what the play call was?
I don't remember the exact play call, but we ran a variation of this throughout the season where, just kind of a power to me, where we'll pull a guard or a tackle. And, right here I see there's a guy in the hole,
Yeah.
and my running back there, Will Murray picks it up pretty well. So I kind of pause for a second there, let my blocks develop, let him take that block, and then so I get through the hole.
Yeah. I mean, this is what's confusing. This is not the running back wasn't supposed to block this guy, was he?
I don't think so. I think maybe when we're pulling guards, missed that, but
Yeah.
he picked it up well.
But
He
he
acted.
does. He does. And then you, obviously, you show the strength that you have.
Hmm.
And you break a couple tackles right here, but you look dead to rights right here. Like, yeah, okay, this is good. You got out of the end zone. We'll live to fight another day. Even your linemen are like, okay, that was a nice game.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do
I
you
don't
get
like
your
to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't like to go down easily. I, try to always get the extra couple of yards. So right there, I was kind of thinking, what, put my head down, just hold on to the football and get a couple yards if I can.
It's a good
And
mindset to have, right? Don't tackle until they bring it down. But where do you get your balance? Where do you get your strength? Is it all in the gym? Do you practice it? Do you do any drills for balance?
yeah, I definitely lift, but I do a lot of ladder stuff and bag work, and I've always just also had some pretty good balance. And I think that really, shows on film, and it's been a really useful attribute.
I mean, look at your teammate. He was waving goodbye. Like you knew there was no chance anyone's catching you. I mean,
That's Will Flanagan. He doesn't make me look very fast on the film, but he's kind of a speedster.
I don't know. You're moving on this one. You're moving.
Yeah, I did well. Did what I had to do.
Now, what I love about you most is on the defensive end and at the linebacker spot. And, you got some good thickness to you at 6 feet, right? You're about 200 pounds.
Hmm.
On this play, and I just want to talk about linebacker as a whole. All right. What do you feel makes a good linebacker? If you were to describe a linebacker that you want to be or play like, what do you think makes a good linebacker?
I think a linebacker who is really good at reading, and I don't even think that's like a football IQ thing. That's just a feel for the game. You have to read the guard, read the fullback, and just have a sense for where the play is going and getting there. You're the center of the defense, and you're gonna have a lot of responsibilities. So you have to have a good feel of what's going on. So.
I like some of the stuff that you said, reading an offense. And I want to ask you, what does coach teach you guys or your linebackers coach teach you? Do you read what's called a triangle read or do you read a flow to alignment? What is your read as a linebacker that you could share with us?
Our read, it's usually, if there's a fullback, it's going to be the fullback. And if it's a single back, we read one of the guards and see if there's any pulling. And that'll usually bring us to the ball.
Do you read the guard in front of you or it depends on where the fullback
backside guard. Backside guard usually.
Okay. Now, for me, what makes a good linebacker, it starts with the stance. And just looking at your stance right now, I really like it. Right? You got a nice little bend in your hips. And the most important to me, good bend, eyes are up, you're not looking down. The only thing I would correct, it looks like your hands are on your knees, right?
Okay.
And when you're at the linebacker spot, it's almost like a boxer. You want to protect your face. So having your hands out in front of you a little bit, always ready for anybody to come at you, right? You mentioned the reading, diagnosing plays is huge. And we're going to go over this play right here. I think you do a really good job of it. And I also think you do a good job that you didn't talk about is disengaging blocks and finishing the play. That's a really important aspect of a linebacker. And you do a good job with that too. This is 22 personnel, right? 2 backs, 2 tight ends. They're in the gun. Does the gun change your read at all, whether it's under center or in shotgun?
Not really, no. We still read the same players.
Okay.
Neither situation.
So let's just show this first play. Do you remember this against Pleasantville? They're going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be running a sweep to the right with a pulling guard. And look at you finish the play right there for no gain. I mean, there's you right there. They're going to run a sweep to the right, like you can see. And they're actually going to send multiple blockers at you. This center is going to try to get you. But the most important thing, like you mentioned, reading quickly. When you read the play quickly, you beat the lineman to the hole. You don't give them a chance to block you. And that's exactly what you do on this first part. Because you read this quickly, you saw the guards pulling, you knew where you were going, right?
Yep.
There's you right there. They're also going to send this running back at you. So you beat the lineman to the hole. Now you got to take on the running back. I like what you do right here. Did coach teach you how to disengage blocks?
We talk a bit about it. We have a drill where we'll have the pad and then we have to hold and then read. But really, it's just when I'm disengaging blocks, I don't really think about it. I'm just going to the ball. Nothing's gonna get in my way.
Mm-hmm. The big thing is using your leverage in your hands, and I think you do a good job using your leverage. This play, 21 personnel. Now he's under center. Now you have a fullback. So can you kind of describe to me what your read is while the play is going on? Who are you reading, and where did it take you to the ball?
Yeah, so I had a general idea that I can see that it's going to the left, and I'm kind of closing the distance between myself and the line of scrimmage while moving towards the play side, and I was kind of just able to find a gap through the line and find the running back, find the ball, see ball, get ball.
Now I see 21 personnel. They're running this ISO off tackle, and now you're about 3 yards from the play, so you can't step in the wrong direction or you're going to be out of this play, right?
Yep.
So does coach give you, where do you usually start at? Do you start at 5, or do he kind of gives you your own leeway to do what you like, being at 3 yards or anything like that?
A couple of games in the season, we were encouraged to be a little closer to the line. I remember Putt Valley, for them, they're mainly run team, and we were staying close to the line. But for some games, we're more 4 or 5 yards off the ball. But here, it looks like I'm at 3.
Yep. And so you're reading this fullback, and you're reading the guard in front of you. So if the guard or the backside guard, right? If the backside guard is blocking straight ahead, that tells you it's flow away.
I say so, but my first read here is going to be the fullback.
Yep.
Situation.
And this fullback steps this way towards your left. So you step to your left. Right? Where do your eyes go next?
I'd say right here. At this point, I'm probably looking towards the running back, or the quarterback, seeing if a handoff's happening, or if the running back's going towards the same direction as the fullback, or if there's going to be some counter direction. And
the counter will be showed by what? How would you know if there's a counter?
I'd usually see if maybe there's a pulling guard towards the other way. Yeah.
No, that's it. Linemen always tell all. So you see that this guy comes this way, the lineman's going forward, and look at you make this play backside, again, by a quick decision. Quick decision. You didn't give any lineman a chance to block you. What about this play? Similar concept. You're on the play side linebacker. And again, look at that finish right there.
I actually got a penalty to play before this. That's why it's 1st and 10 right now. So I was a little antsy, and I was kind of angry at the penalty, and I was coming for blood on this play.
You were, and you finished strong. But similar read, right? They got a fullback. You're going to read that fullback, correct?
Yes.
And he steps towards you, right? And when he steps towards you, you're going to be running in that direction looking for any lineman pulling back, right?
Yep.
But because, and this is something I really like, this time you're about 4 yards, not 3 yards. And I always like linebackers moving towards the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball. So coach taught you well. Look at your first step. You started at that line right there. Your first step matches the fullback's first step. You're already a yard up. That's really important. 2 steps is what I call read steps, right? And in those 2 steps, you have to decide, am I attacking flow to me or flow away? And your eyes, I like where your eyes are. You're on the fullback. You see the lineman in front of you. You know that it's coming this way. They have a center trying to block you, right? And look at you make a miss in tight quarters. And then look at this finish. Look at your head right here. This is a perfect form tackle. Now, again, don't duck your head, right? Keep those eyes up. Always keep those eyes up. But look at your wide base. Look at where you're attacking. So anyone watching this right now, this is what's called a form tackle in the hole right here. And that's where you get this power. Look at this finish right there. That's beautiful. It's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Now, you were telling me that you were practicing backpedaling and that you don't know what your position is going to be at the next level, right?
Yep.
And there's a reason why you practice backpedaling, because at some point in the college level, there's a lot of spread stuff, and you're going to have to play some man-to-man, right?
Yes. Yeah. So here, I was in that man-to-man.
Oh, yeah. You remember this play, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out in a spread look right here. 10 personnel, ace gun, we used to call it. And you're going mano-a-mano, man-to-man with one of the best backs in the section last year. Look what you do right here. Man-to-man, by yourself. That's beautiful stuff. I mean, coach must have a lot of faith in you. Man-to-man with the best back in football?
Yeah, we had a lot of open space out there, so it was just, me and Jalen. So, it was a big play, big tackle, and I thought I read it well.
Do you play basketball at all?
I did when I was younger. Not
yeah.
currently.
I mean, this is like playing basketball right here. You're man-to-man. If you don't make this play, there's going to be a slam dunk for them, right? Mm-hmm. But I like it. You don't wait for him. You would tackle. He's running that out. I mean, this is good stuff right here. You're right in his hip pocket. Mm-hmm. If you don't make this tackle, he's out of there.
Yeah, I made sure to shuffle there rather than doing a lateral run right away, because I was thinking maybe he may do an angle route. So I was waiting to see him commit to that little route in the flat, and then got on my horse.
No, that's good, because if you stay in his inside, you take away that angle route. And then once he breaks out, now you can adjust, right? I mean, that's all good stuff right there. I mean, we didn't go into a lot of the offense because I really like your linebacker play. I like how you play defense.
I love defense too.
There's not many quarterbacks and linebackers in Section 1. I mean, coach has to have a lot of faith. And I talked to him. He raves about you. He must have a lot of faith that he puts his most important player on the offense. He puts it at the most important spot on the defense, at middle linebacker. What kind of confidence does that give you, knowing that coach has put a lot on your plate?
I mean, I was a little worried going to the season that he wasn't going to let me play linebacker, but I'm really happy that coach had that faith in me to put me on both sides of the ball. And I think that kind of speaks to our relationship and our confidence in each other. And I think he has that same confidence in a lot of his players, and we play confident, and that's just our kind of brand of football.
Now, coach, he's going to keep you there linebacker this year, right?
Yes, I believe so.
No, that's good. Now, before we end the interview, Henry, is there anybody you wanted to give a shout out to? Anybody that you wanted to recognize before we get going?
I just wanted to say thank you to my coaches, and the coaches around Section 1 in the state for making the season possible. We've been in a tough situation for the past, since the headlines came out in March. So we're just really thankful that we have a season, and I'm thankful for everyone who made that possible.
That's great, Henry. Yeah, absolutely. And we do really appreciate you joining the show again. And we really look forward to not just watching you on the football field, but also talking to you in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That is Henry Donohue, everybody, from Bronxville High School. I want to thank Henry again for joining the show.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, Mars, rounding it off, we're going to the DBs and the kicker. Let's just start in Valhalla. Mahari Davis comes up again, third-team All-State as a defensive back, Mars. And I just think he's a well-rounded corner. He's got fluid hips. He can plant and attack the football. And he's just a kid who can play man or zone. And he's a guy that when he picks the ball off, he is very dangerous. Obviously, we talked about his offensive skill. He brings that to the defensive end. And when he picks the ball off, he can go the distance, right? So, really explosive player. Sticking to the defensive side, Daniel Santos of Haldane. I talked about him at the quarterback spot, but he also played defense, and he was second-team All-State on defense for Class D in 2019. And, Coach told us about this young man. He's getting recruited to play basketball. He's a multi-sport player. And he's a competitor. He hates to lose. He's a quiet leader, blue-collar kid. And I think he does a good job playing center field on the defense. But he's very active in the run game, Mars. He acts like an additional linebacker. He's always around the ball. And this kid definitely deserves to be on the defensive side for Frank's Finest. Another defensive back, Mars, James McGovern of Dobbs Ferry. This kid, when I spoke to Coach, blue-collar kid, young players respect him. He'll outwork anybody. And defensively, he's arguably one of the top men-to-men guys in this grouping in Class C and D. I just think he's got good speed. He does a good job recognizing routes, attacking, using proper angles, not afraid to get involved in the run game. There's a lot to like about this kid. And finally, to round it off, I'm sticking in Dobbs Ferry. Harry Dan, I talked about him at quarterback. This kid also plays that outside linebacker box safety. I know Coach was even talking about moving him to inside linebacker, but as a safety, this kid is a really good athlete. He's got really good speed, like I talked about the quarterback spot, to stop outside runs. He's a good open field tackler, and he can play man or zone. I've seen him in coverage. This kid is a really, really solid athlete. And we'll see. I mean, if they move him to inside backer, I'm sure he'll be successful there too. But at the safety spot, this kid deserved to be one of Frank's finest. I mean, Mars, I mentioned 4 names, and we'll get to the breakdown, but who do you want to talk about before we get to the breakdown?
Well, I have 2 guys I like to talk about. First, Mahari Davis. I mentioned him earlier in the show, and I think that he just impresses me all around. His athleticism is, I think, the key thing you have to look at. And I keep saying athleticism because we're in Class C and D. You're going to see a lot of these two-way players. But I think he's a very well-rounded secondary player. He can play both man and zone, as you mentioned before. But I think the best thing about him is that he can kind of stick with anybody and be in the right position on anywhere, depending on what route it is or anything. Yep. And the last thing you said was about if once he makes a play, like causes a turnover, it could be a touchdown really quick. And the next person is James McGovern. I want to key in on him because, like you mentioned, in my opinion too, he is the best man-to-man player in this section. Well, really in class in this class C and D section. Yeah. I mean, that's a very hard thing to say all over section, but I think I can recognize him as being a top-notch secondary player because he's proven it day in and day out. He's very consistent, and I think he does a very good job of recognizing the routes and the angles you need to take in order to make a play on those routes.
Yeah, and I'll stick with James McGovern. I did do a breakdown on James at the DB spot, and I'll let the audience see why I think he's a special player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 25, James McGovern, cornerback and running back for Dobbs Ferry High School, located right here on the screen. And this kid, listed about 5'10", lean athlete. He's got good speed, quickness, solid hands, and on the defensive end, he really does a good job breaking on routes and attacking the ball. Good man-to-man guy. He's got good anticipation. He's also a solid open field tackler. Again, could definitely put on some mass, right? He's a lean kid. And another thing he's got to work on is lowering his pad level. He plays a little too high, and he could definitely work on the back pedal as well. But I tell you, he's just a natural man-to-man guy. He does a really good job anticipating routes. And we're going to go over a couple plays that impressed me. Again, he's located right here. He's man-to-man, right? And he's on kind of an island right now with this outside receiver. And they're going to be running a deep curl. Now, the wide receiver is going to kind of drift inward a little bit. And he's going to curl around. And he does a really good job of breaking on this route. Again, you're going to see his ability to break. And he shows the speed to make plays. Okay, the ball's thrown, right? Look at him break on this ball. He gets the INT right there. That's a beautiful job. Again, go back and watch. He really knows how to put his back foot into the dirt and break towards the ball. Again, watch him. He just shoots in front of this ball right here for the INT. That's a good job. Let's go to another play, okay? He's off the screen over here, man-to-man again on this outside receiver who's now going to be running a post. Again, he shows a good job creating angles to attack the upfield shoulder of the receiver and attacking the ball, okay? He attacks through the receiver's hands, okay? There's a quarterback dropping back. Here he is again. Look at him. He's right in the pocket. Look at him attack the ball through his hands. Right there. It's a great job. Forces an incompletion. Again, a solid man-to-man guy. Again, one more time. Again, here we go. You're going to see him. Again, look at him over the top on the upfield shoulder and then attack the ball. It's a good job. All right, Mars, to round it off, we're going with the kicker. And I'm going to Rhineck. I'm going Christian Frabasili. This kid was one of the linemen, too, for him. But I like this kid. He's coming back. He made 70% of his PATs. He made a field goal during the game, and I think this kid has a nice strong leg, and I'm excited to see him. I think he's one of the top returning kickers in this section, in this classes that we combined, and I think he's deserving being the Frank's finest kicker.
Yeah, I mean 70% is very
Real
good
solid.
and very consistent. And like I said in the previous shows, finding a reliable kicker is a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there we go, Mars. That is our list for Class C and D of Section 1. Again, these kids very deserving, and don't look down, don't disregard these small schools. I mean, they got good football players, good coaching. I'm excited for this group, and I think these are some talented football players that we mentioned on this list.
Exactly. And the fact is, you're going to see a lot of them. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, you're not just going to see them on one side of the ball. You're going to see them all over the place, not even just on offense, defense, and special teams. And I noticed that for a lot of the guys we mentioned were great special teams players too. So at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, diamonds in the rough. I can guarantee it.
Absolutely. And we want to thank everyone for tuning into the show. We're going to see you all soon for our next one, which is going to be AA. So I hope you guys enjoy our show, and we'll see you all very soon.